here today to discuss this new Supreme Court decision and the issue of conditional consent to sex are two criminal lawyers, Sarah Leamon and Rachel Lichtman. Thank you both so much for joining me today. Rachel, let's start with the background of this case because it's a bit different from, I guess, what you call the standard definition of stealthing, if there is such a thing. The accused here didn't stealthily remove the condom in the middle of sex. He wore it, but only the first time. But when the couple had sex again the second time, a few hours later, he did not wear a condom. So what can you tell me about the important facts we need to know about this case?
So thank you for asking about the facts, because a lot of us are just talking about the legal principles, but the facts are actually quite interesting here. So basically, a guy and a girl met on a dating app, and then they met up to discuss the possibility of having sex. And at that first meeting, the female, the complainant, made it very clear that she only has sex with a condom, that that's very important to her, that that's the only way that she thinks it's safe. The male, the accused, was saying that he didn't really care for condoms, but he agreed that it was the safest way to have sex. They then met up to have sex. And the first time they had sex, she saw the male go to his nightstand, take a condom out. It was dark in the room. She couldn't see exactly what was happening, but she did hear the wrapper and she did see the motions of what would be the male putting a condom on himself. And so they had intercourse, and during the time of while they were having intercourse, he specifically asked her, "Where can I ejaculate?" Meaning he was going to take off the condom and ejaculate somewhere on her. And she said, "Anywhere besides for my vagina or buttocks." And I think that went even more so to her point about this idea of safe sex, that she doesn't want any of his bodily fluids touching sensitive places of her body. And so they finished having sex the first time, and she was so caught up in this idea of condom use, she even asked him after they completed the sexual act, like, "Can you show me the condom?" And he did. And it was satisfactory to her. She said that it had looked like it was used. And then they had sex the second time. And that second time, the sex started off with her on her stomach, so she couldn't see the accused person. And then she turned around and she was facing him. And there was even a time during the act of sex where his penis came out of her and he asked her to put it back inside of her, and she did. And then he eventually ejaculates inside of her. And that's when, according to her testimony, she realizes he's not wearing a condom, and she really freaks out. And she says to him, like, what about if I get pregnant? What about different STIs or STDs? And he tells her, "Oh, you can get an abortion and don't worry about it. Like, people can live with AIDS now. People can live with gonorrhea and chlamydia. It's fine." And she's so upset that she texts him later on saying, "How could you have done that? I can't believe you did that." And the way he responds, I think, is very indicative of this person's behavior. He sends her links to porn videos that have the title like something like "Daddy," and then says offers to her with his friends. So those are the facts. And I think that that's something that we should always keep in mind when we're talking about this case and what the Supreme Court of Canada ruled here.
Yeah, well, it's pretty intense. Sarah, the same question. Is there anything that you want to add to the background here? We've got about a minute.
Yeah, I think that was a very thorough analysis of the facts, and I don't have a lot really to add, but or perhaps to say that there was some indication in the facts that the complainant had actually observed this person having leaned over towards that same bedside table where he had gotten the first condom on the first occasion. So there was some discussion about how that could have been purposefully deceiving.
Right. Okay. Because, yeah, it was the first time it seemed like he wore it and she was satisfied he had worn it. The second time she thought that he was wearing it. And Sarah, how much time had passed between the first and the second time? We've only got about 10 seconds. Do you know?
My understanding is that it was just mere hours. Like
Right.
It was once at night and then once in the morning again.